Okay, it looks like we are live. Let's give just a second to make sure that it's all working properly.
Okay.
And then we can go ahead and get started. I like to make sure that the video is there and that people can hear us.
Yeah, that would be good.
I have actually started a couple of trainings and been like 10 minutes into it when I finally realized that nobody can hear me, nobody can see me, or it's just ridiculousness. And then I'm like, oh, okay, well, now I have to start over.
Sorry.
Yep. So we will give a second for everyone to jump on and say hi. Let's see. Looks like our chat's not working very well. But hopefully. There we go. Okay. All right. I'll wait for an answer, and then we'll get started. So how's your day been, Stevie?
Pretty good. Still fairly early, so.
Yeah, it is. So, it's still, yeah, it's 10:30 for you, huh?
Yeah.
So you're just starting out the day.
Yeah, by the time I got the kids to school and all that stuff, I'm just now getting into being able to get some stuff done.
Nice. Very nice. Okay, well, I don't hear responses from very many people. Let me see what. Okay, they're saying they just see a black screen. Oh. Sorry, I just want to make sure that everything's good before we.
Yep, no problem.
All right. I don't know. Let me see if I can figure something out. It says they're saying just a black screen. I don't know why that would be. Let me make sure I have my links right. Always fun.
Every time, even no matter how many times you've used it, every time it's something else, right?
There is always something, and I don't know, maybe I'm just not as savvy at all this, but
no,
okay. All right, you know what? I am going to push play on this, and I'm going to mute myself for a second just so that I'm not doing anything crazy here. That's going to, cause major feedback.
Yeah.
We don't want that. So, okay. Okay, I can see it fine. I don't know. Hopefully other people are able to refresh the page and see it. So I think we're going to just go ahead and get started.
Okay.
And, because it is working, hopefully everyone else can see it. All right. Okay, we'll pause for a second and do an official start so that, we can edit out all this junk at the beginning later on. Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our CakeFu Master Series. I'm Amelia Carbine, your host, and thanks for joining us. It'll be really fun today. We have a super talented master with us. She's been on before, and she is well loved by everybody. Huge skills and talents, and super, super stylish. I love Stevie's style. So welcome, Stevie.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, not a problem. Well, thanks for coming again. It's fun. Okay, so we want to introduce you a little bit. I'm sure that a lot of people already know about, you and that you do cakes, but they may not know a lot about, your background. So let's talk a little bit about your past. I understand you were, get it right, interior designer?
Yes, that's correct.
All right.
I was in the interior design field for about a little over 10 years and definitely thought that that's where my life would progress to and where my career would continue to go. Cakes weren't really on my radar, but it's funny how I think all of us that probably do cakes get into the industry that way, right? So
right.
Yeah, I just kind of fell into it just about 5 years ago. So it's still somewhat new, I guess.
That's great. I was actually thinking about you this week because I've been painting my walls in my open area of my living room, dining room, kitchen, the whole area. I just thought
I saw your post last night and I was like, oh, you are brave getting on that ladder painting.
Oh my gosh, it is so high. It is so tall. Well, and I have a fireplace also that has the chimney that goes all the way up to the top of that vaulted ceiling, and then right next to that is our stairs that go downstairs.
Oh gosh!
And I was like, I'm standing on this ladder and I'm looking like 30 feet down. I'm like, oh my gosh! It was so scary. So, but I think I'm going to be really happy with the way my fireplace is turning out. I've spent a lot of time up on that ladder, more time than I would like.
Yeah. Yeah, but in the end, that's what makes it amazing. Like, A, you're going to love the end result, and B, you're the one who did the work. So it's like even more to be proud of the finished product.
So true. So true. Well, hopefully it turns out the way I'm hoping it will, because I just am excited about, my fireplace, I'm just making it kind of the accent piece of the room. So should be fun. But anyway.
So that's similar in cake though too, right? Because you have this idea in mind and then you're creating it, and like your hope is that it actually turns out the way you planned. So it's very similar as far as, I think anyways.
It is, absolutely. In fact, I was doing this painting stenciling thing on the fireplace, and I thought this would make an awesome cake design.
Yeah, it's a good place to draw inspiration from too.
Yep. Yep. Very cool. Okay, so you also, once you got into cake decorating, how did you get yourself out there? How did you become more well-known in the industry?
That's a good question. I'm not really sure. I think it was just mostly sticking to my sense of style and just creating cakes that I really liked. And luckily we have, we're in the age of social media where I was able to post the pictures, and just by a stroke of luck, I think really people kind of started seeing them and obviously liked them. And then of course the use of wafer paper was not a common tool used in the cake world. So as I was doing that more eyes were on that and interested in, maybe a new medium used, well, it's not a new medium, but like an old medium used in a new way. So I think that's really where any of the attention or any of that kind of stuff came from.
Very cool. Yeah, I guess it does kind of just happen by accident. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish I could tell you I was some like marketing guru and knew what I was doing and had some great plan, but that wasn't the case at all. It just, I feel very lucky that any of this has happened. So.
Well, that's wonderful, and congratulations. It's a huge accomplishment to
Thank you.
So well known in the industry. So.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so then also you have been doing some Craftsy classes. You've had one out for a while. and you've recently launched another one. You want to tell us about your Craftsy experience and the classes that you have, because they really are awesome.
Yeah, Craftsy has been amazing. I was with the first one, I was really happy and surprised that they had reached out, and I'm very excited to be able to share, some wafer paper techniques and stuff. Because at the time, I think there wasn't a lot of information out there. Now it's kind of blown up and it's all over the place, which is great. So that was the first class, and that just showed, some basic techniques and more paper-looking flowers, and just kind of what wafer paper is and how to work with it. And then the second one that we just launched, actually, I guess it was the end of December of last year, is more involved techniques and a little bit more botanically correct flowers. They're still definitely paper looking, but a little bit more looks more like a rose, or looks more like ranunculus kind of thing.
I have a little one that's outside the door.
Oh.
I muted myself for a minute. He wants to watch Ninjago.
Wow, nice.
Hang on a second.
No problem.
Okay, I think that took care of it. Oh boy, kids are fun. Especially the 3-year-old that doesn't understand, mommy's busy.
Yeah. Luckily, I have help here today with the 2 little ones I have here, keeping them busy. Otherwise, they would be probably making faces behind us.
Well, I'm supposed to have help with my 13-year-old, but
oh, right.
he's been sidetracked. So, okay, so today you're going to be talking about something that's in your Craftsy class, or is it?
This flower is not in the Craftsy class. It kind of, I would say, pertains to it. It certainly could be in there because it's a more botanically correct looking flower, and it's also wired, which is what the new class shows a lot of. So this is just a little extra.
All right, and it is gorgeous. It is gorgeous. It's I have a hard time saying it, phalaenopsis flower.
I was hoping that I was like trying to Google it before, like how to pronounce it, but I was hoping you knew. So let's just call it the orchid. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's right. We'll call it an orchid. Okay, so whatever this is called, phalaenopsis orchid, which is absolutely stunningly gorgeous. I saw, when you sent me the picture, I thought, oh, this is so perfect.
Thanks. And it's super simple, which is nice. Like probably one of the most basic flowers you can make, I think, with wafer paper. So
perfect. All right. Well, we will just let you go ahead and get started into that. And all
right. I'm going to move the camera down then so you can see my workspace. Hopefully that's good without closing it too much. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. That's perfect. Yeah. For those of you, while Stevie's getting ready for this, I want you guys to know that we do have a discount for you. It's a 25% discount on her latest Craftsy class. And we will be doing a giveaway at the end if you stick around. So we'll go ahead and let Stevie take care of that.
Okay, so here is, am I stuck?
So gorgeous.
Thanks. Am I frozen?
No. Oh, yes, you are. It is stuck on that flower.
I wonder if I'm on a laptop, so I don't know if I close it too much, if that's a problem.
It usually isn't.
Okay.
I'm not sure what exactly.
But you can still hear me, obviously.
Yeah, I can still hear you. That's weird. I wonder if you refresh your screen, it will take you out of the training for a minute, but it would bring you back in.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to try doing that.
I will try that.
Okay. All right. So since it's just us, this is my new cake studio since we've moved fairly recently. I will have something on that back wall that's a little bit more than just a plain tan wall, But yeah, I'm excited to have it all set up now.
Okay, I'm back.
That's much better.
Right, let's see if I do this, if it's okay. Or how long, we'll see. Okay.
Perfect.
So here it is, and it really just is going to consist of 4 different pieces. The center, which is gum paste, and it's on a wire, and then 3 different shapes cut from wafer paper. And for that, I have a template that I made that actually, if you Google whatever the P word is, Orchid, paper flower, there's a ton of templates out there already made for paper, for real paper. So you could use those. Or if you have cutters, gum paste cutters, you certainly could use that for a template as well. So these I cut from, it's actually like acetate that comes on the back of icing sheets. So I usually keep those sheets because I feel like, I don't know, they're too good to throw away. But they make really nice templates because they're sturdy and they're kind of plasticky, so you can clean them off and stuff.
Perfect.
So, my templates here are these 3 different pieces, and obviously you can do them in different. This one's kind of large, just so I could show you today a little bit easier. But to start, I would want to make my center, since it is made from gum paste, you'd want to make these in advance so that they can dry before we try to assemble it. And to do that, I'm using a 22 gauge wire. And I'm using white. You can certainly use green. I tend to use white on all my flowers. I think probably because a lot of the cakes I do are on a white base, so I'd rather it blend in with the cake than have the green stand out. But certainly that's a design and a personal preference, you know. It's a choice you can make on your own. Okay. And so I'm just going to take a little bit of gum paste. And since this is just a really small piece, this is actually just Wilton gum paste. You can use any that you have. It doesn't have to be super high quality since it's just a little center. So I'm going to roll it up in a ball and then bring it down into a teardrop shape, just like a typical center would be. And then I'll use my Dresden tool to make a little divot in the middle of the top of the ball. Oh, and I will say that this particular center is not botanically correct. Actually, it was just a design choice. I just like the way it looked on the flower, but it's not actually how they look in the center. So if you don't like this, you can make it look more like the actual flower, but I just thought this was a cute little center.
I think that we as cake decorators have that artistic license that we can take, right?
Good. I know, but usually people are like, hey, that's not what it looks like. And so I feel like I have to explain my choices sometimes.
Well, I guess if you were doing a competition or something where the flowers have to be botanically correct, then you would want to do something different. But
exactly. Okay, so what I did was just push down with my Dresden tool. I'm actually using the more rounded part until I could get my fingers on it, and I'm just kind of flattening out the 2 sides. And then I'm going to take the sharp point and just make 2 indentations. Hopefully you can see this okay. I know I'm white on white here. On each side, just as a little extra design point in there. Okay, so it'll look something like that. Can you see that okay?
Mm-hmm.
I can't see what I'm doing, so not on the screen. I mean, I get in person, but not on the screen anyway. But okay, so if you have gum glue, I'm just going to use water just to show you right now, but I'm just going to dip my wire in a little bit of water. Gum glue is great. I actually like to hot wire a lot of things because then I know they're really nice and secure.
What would hot wiring be for?
So if you just have like a little tea light candle and you can heat the end of your wire until it gets really warm, and then you're just going to insert it into your gum paste. And what that does is melts the gum paste as the wire is going in and really grabs a hold of the wire. I find that's the most secure way. I can't really teach that method because you don't want to like encourage people to use, open flames. But if you safe around a candle, you can do it that way. Okay, so just insert the wire. Obviously, you want it to get into the meaty part of the center, but you don't want it coming out the top.
Mhm.
And then I'm just going to roll between my fingers gently just to really secure it down. I like to pinch the end and twist just to clean it up. Okay. And then you would have a center, something like that. Can you see that okay? I really can't tell if you guys can see it or not.
It's a little bit, you know, because the white on white.
Yeah.
But
let me see. I have this clipboard maybe just for a second to, not very pretty, but
perfect.
you can see that better. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then, you know, if you're making multiple of these, then you would do this step all at once and just put them in some foam and let them dry overnight. Okay. So I'm going to set that one aside. So the next step would be to cut your petals. And again, like I said, I have the template. And I'm using white, of course, wafer paper, and this is actually AD04. So it's a little bit thicker than the paper I've talked about before. It's actually double the thickness of the paper I usually use. And the reason for that is because orchids, their petals are a little bit heftier and chunkier than other kinds of flowers. So if you can't find this, you should be able to Google search AD04 wafer paper and find different sources. If you can't, the AD00, the 0 grade, the one that I usually use, works just fine as well. In fact, I'll show you. These ones were made with the thinner paper. So there's not a huge difference, and probably even on the screen you're not going to be able to tell, but you know, if you can find the thicker kind, then great. But if not, don't worry, you can definitely use the thinner one.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. The other thing is when I'm doing the templates, I know that some people have pencil issues. I'm not one of them. I use them to trace out my templates and cut around. And I either just make sure that I cut off all the pencil marks, or if they're going on a display cake, then, you know, I know nobody's going to eat them and that kind of stuff. So these are obviously non-toxic, but I realize that they're not necessarily made for food products. So if it's not right for you, then definitely you don't need to use it. The thing you can do if you don't want to use the pencil is actually just hold your template up and cut around it, you know, freehand cut around it. I also show in the first class using your Dresden tool, you can trace around and actually leaves an indentation in the wafer paper, and you can cut it out that way as well. Do I need to show cutting it out?
If you don't want to, that's fine. I think people understand how to cut.
Literally, I would just trace around this, you know, and then use my scissor and cut out the 3 different pieces. You can, if you're making multiple of them, you could stack up, you know, 2 or 3 pieces of your paper and cut them out 2 or 3 at a time, so it's a little bit faster. As a little tip, if you start to see that the edges of your paper are getting jagged, it's because there's too many of them stacked up. So I would take away, you know, if you're trying to do 4 and it gets jagged, then maybe only do 2 or 3 sheets. Okay, so after they're cut out, they'll look like this. You'll have your 3 pieces. And the next step is going to be to vein them. And you're really probably not going to be able to see this. Let me bring back the ugly clipboard. Okay. So we'll use this. To vein them, what I use is this. I think this one's PME, but Wilton has one. Atico has one. I think they call it like a cutter or embossing tool. It's the one that comes with these different, you know, little shapes and stuff, but with the one I'm using is just the blunt wheel. And you do want to make sure that it's blunt and not super sharp, because if it's too sharp, it's going to cut through your paper. But this blunt wheel seems to be just right for getting some indentations in the paper. I've also found that using an extra sheet of wafer paper gives us just enough resistance to be able to roll over this without cutting through. If you have a different surface that works, that's great. Because I've had people say, "Oh, I don't want to waste wafer paper doing that," and I totally understand. But you know, if you can use it, then great. If you find another surface that works, then great. Am I stuck again?
It looks like you are.
Darn
it. If you need to refresh, I can I can put up the link to your class while you're finishing.
Let's try that.
Okay, so here is the link to the Craftsy class that she has. It's definitely worth your time investing in this. She has some amazing flowers and amazing things in her class. So, and this is 25% off of the class. So cakefu.com/Stevi-Craftsy, and that will get you to the 25% off of her class. So, and it looks like you're back.
Yes, hopefully it'll stay that way. Let's see over here. Okay. Are you ready? Are you done with?
Yep, we're good.
Okay. All right. So what I was saying is this tool and then an extra sheet of wafer paper. And then what I'm going to do is run the tool back and forth from what would essentially be the center of the petal. So your flower is going to be standing like this. So this would be the center of your flower. So I'm going to run the tool from the center out in a fanned motion. And I am pressing pretty hard. I think this, when people do this, they tend to not press hard enough because they're worried that they're going to go through their paper. If you do go through your paper, probably what's happening is you're getting stuck on one groove for too long. If you continue to move, it shouldn't cut the paper. Okay. So I'm making sure I'm going out past the end of the petal because you can see, hopefully you can see, maybe if I get closer you can see, that it's hard to tell in the white, but it really does give it a lot of texture, and it actually starts to thin out the paper a little bit. And you can also see that it cups the paper a little bit as well. You can see how flat this side is, and this side has a little bit of some shape to it. Okay, and you can go over it a few times. Again, this is not botanically correct of this orchid. There's not typically this much veining in it. They usually have less veining and pretty deep veining, but again, it's just a design choice and a personal choice that I actually like them to have all of these, a lot of these ridges in it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're gonna do that. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I just said I like that a lot. It just adds the texture and makes it look more realistic.
Yes,
in fact,
yeah.
I can pull up, if you want, I can pull up a picture of what you sent to me, and so everyone can see.
Yeah, you might be able to see it better in the photo.
So, yeah, here, this is, I don't know if you can see it more clearly, but if you look at the ends of each of these petals, you can see the ridging. It's really, really pretty. And oh gosh, they're just so gorgeous. I love it.
Thanks.
All right, so there you go.
Okay, so that was our big piece, and then of course I would do the same to the back part, and you can see, maybe you can see now, this one has the veining in it and this one doesn't. So you can see just on its own doing the veining how it starts to curl a little bit, the paper and everything. Okay. We're not going to vein the center piece. He actually gets painted, and to do that, it's hopefully going to look something like this when we're done with it. And I'm just going to use petal dust and a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of, this is actually vegetable oil. You can use any oil-based, liquid oil-based product that you have. I just happen to have vegetable oil on hand, so that's what I'm using. This is Crystal Colors Red Velvet, but obviously you can make these in any color that you'd like. I'm going to use two brushes. One I'm going to use with the oil, and then one's just going to be a dry brush. So to start, I'm going to just pick up like the tiniest, tiniest, tiniest bit of oil on my brush. You can, I know some people make like actual paints. They'll mix it first, which is totally fine. You can do that, but I tend to do things as quickly as I possibly can. Like, and it's always like the last minute, oh, I got to get this done. So just a little bit of oil on my brush, and I'm going to pick up the color. And then I'm just going to rub it on the center of the paper. And you can see how just that like it's the smallest amount of oil with the colors really makes it nice and dark and vivid. You definitely want to make sure you're only using a little bit of oil, because if you use too much, it's going to take forever to dry, and anytime you touch it, it'll start pulling the color off. So just be sure to use a little bit of oil. So the next what I'm going to do is just start to pull the color out down the different pieces. Okay. And if you pull too much and your center gets too light, you can just add a little bit more, because you do want this darkest part in the center of your flower. You can see I'm not adding any more oil to my brush. I'm just picking up more of the powdered color. And now I'm just going to take my dry brush and actually just smooth out the ends here so it blends nicely, so it's not a stark line.
And did you already say what kind of oil that is?
Yes, I said I'm using vegetable oil, but you can definitely use, if you have coconut oil or honestly any oil, grapeseed oil, anything you have will work just fine.
Just not water.
Just not water. I know some people are successful with using water. I have never been, so.
You have to be really careful.
Yeah. And like I said, I tend to do things quickly and as fast as possible. So if I can just, slap something on and not have to worry about the water eating through, that's kind of the way I go. So.
I like the oil.
Yeah, it makes it easy. Okay, so you can see on this one, which the orchids typically have these little kind of dotting and striation. Again, this isn't super botanically correct, obviously. If you wanted to go all out and really paint something very realistic, you certainly can. I just kind of like to allude to what the flower kind of looks like. So to do that, I did go in with just a little bit more oil, and then I'm going to pick up quite a bit of the color. And I'm using the same brush. It's an angled brush. I'm just using the pointed, I don't know if you can see the pointed end here. If you have a small brush, you certainly can use that. But again, I like to use as few tools as I possibly can get away with. So I'm just going to use that end to make a few dots.
Perfect.
Okay. And for me, that's a little too harsh. I don't like how vivid they are. So I just go in with my dry brush and slightly brush over it. So it just kind of pulls them out a little bit. Okay, so something like that. And I would let that sit aside to dry for maybe like a half an hour or so. It's not that it's wet or damp or anything like that, but the oil is still on the paper. So if you're assembling it, there is a chance that you can either get on your hands or get it on part of the petals that you don't want it on. So it's a safe bet to just let them sit aside for a while.
All right. We do have a couple.
This one I did early. Okay, so before I assemble these, what I do want to do is dust my center just a little bit. I'm just going to use my dry brush in the same color, the red velvet, but I'm going to make sure it's just very light. I don't want it too deep. And again, if you have a preferred method of like brush or dust to use or whatever, this is totally open to your own interpretation. Typically, I would have a little cornstarch as well to kind of lighten up the color, but don't today. Don't today.
Perfect. Someone asked if you have ever used cocoa butter coloring.
Yes.
For coloring.
Yes. You can definitely use that as well. For me, though, I don't use it. Because it does leave a sheet. And I really like matte. So.
All right.
I think
with the amount of oil that you're using, will it leave the wafer paper wet, or does it dry?
It does dry. It should, as long as you're using just a little bit of it, it should dry.
Okay. I would imagine it would, soak in and dry off.
Yeah, I mean, really. What just over time. Okay, so once you have your center dusted, you can set that aside, and we're going to assemble the petals now. And I'm going to use a little bit of piping gel. And this is going to be the first piece, and we're going to layer these other 2 pieces on top. So what you can do, if this doesn't have enough movement for you, you could definitely add some piping gel to the back and roll it a bit, which I'll do that just to kind of show you. Just very, very thin, light coat, just enough to give the paper a little bit of moisture to be able to bend it.
I understand there's a bit of an echo going on right now, so I've muted myself until I can get some earbuds in, so that will help.
And I think I'm frozen again.
Frozen again, dang it.
Okay.
We'll just do another little advertisement while you're gone. All right. So for those of you that have just joined us, here's the link to Stevie's Craftsy class to get 25% off. It was brought to my attention that her class is actually 25% off right now, which is wonderful. But if you do use this link, I would appreciate it because we do get credit for that. Looks like we are back. And let's see. Someone there is still an echo. I'm working on the headphones. Sorry about that. And then also, yeah, there's a question that came through to you, Stevie. I guess someone came in later and they would like to know where you got your orchid cutter templates.
Oh, these templates were from online. I actually just Googled paper orchid template, and there are a multitude that had come up. So I just chose one that I like the shape of, and I just printed it out on my regular printer and then transferred that to the acetate sheet to give me a cutter. But I also said that if you have a gum paste cutter, then you could, trace that and use that as well. Okay. All right. I don't know where we got frozen on, so I'm not sure what part they saw or didn't see. But I was just basically, before that, I was just putting a little bit of piping gel on the back to give it just a little bit of moisture to be able to curl the petal. If you needed more, if you would like more shape in your flower, you could do that. And I was just kind of showing how to do that. But, okay. And I would do the same with the middle piece on the back side. And when I say the back side, in case you haven't worked with wafer paper before, I'm referring to the bumpy side. Wafer paper has one smooth side and one rough side. And I consider the rough side the back. So when I say that, that's what I'm talking about. Okay. And I'm just gonna roll these forward a little bit just to give it a little bit of shape, a little more shape. And I'm going to use piping gel to attach these 2 pieces. If you want to use water, you certainly can do that. So basically, I'm just going to fold up the 2 sides and attach the centers. And I use the back of my paintbrush often to just kind of squeeze them together, and they should be attached pretty well. Okay. And then the last.
Sorry, someone was asking about wafer paper in darker colors. I do know that Icing Images sells wafer paper. And they do have some fairly deep colors. They're not like super dark, but they do have some darker colors.
Yeah, and maybe you can even start with, whatever. Like I know they have a red. Maybe if you start with the red, and then you can add the airbrush or something else over it to deepen it up. So you're maybe not adding as much color. That probably would work too. I don't doubt that eventually somebody's going to come up with a very vast array of colored wafer paper. At least that's my hope. Okay, so the center I'm going to turn over and add some piping gel to, so that we can bend all of these little pieces forward. Okay, so we're going to scrunch it up. Right, and then you can add a little bit of piping gel to the center. Add that guy right to the middle. And again, I use the back of my paintbrush. I find you can use your finger, but I find that it ends up sticking to my finger more than it wants to stick to each other. So the back of the paintbrush seems to work really well for that. Okay, so then you have your flower. It's all assembled. And the last step would be to add our center, the gum paste center. And to do that, I'll clean off my hands a little bit. To do that, I again just use my Dresden tool, and we're going to just puncture the very center of our wafer paper. So I'm using the pointy end, and I'm just going to push it through. And you can see I'm doing this right away on the one I just made. I would suggest letting it sit for maybe 15, 20 minutes just so it sets. Obviously it works, but you're safer letting it set up so that when you're working with it, it's not going to come apart. But so there we have just a piloted hole in there. Maybe now the white is better. Can you see through it better now?
Yeah, I can see that.
And I'm just going to thread that wire with the center through, and I am going to add a little bit of water to, let's see, what's the best way? Maybe like that. Just to the end of, on the white part of the gum paste, the end of your center. And now when we thread this up, it should be nice and tight. Hopefully you didn't poke your hole too big, but it should be nice and tight. And we're just gonna let it sit and dry. And once that water soaks through that wafer paper and dries, it's gonna be nice and solid for you. Okay, it should only take maybe 20 minutes to 30 minutes max. And that's it.
Just
easy. Right? You can bust out a ton of these things really quickly, so. Good. All right. Can put this back up.
I feel bad talking too much because of the echo that might be happening right now. I hope it's not too bad for you guys. But I want to let you guys know that, again, Craftsy class, that Stevie's Craftsy class is 25% off with this link here, cakefu.com/Stevie-Craftsy. And that will take you to her Craftsy class. In fact, we are going to be doing a giveaway of her class, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
So, okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to follow that link, and I will post it again for you guys in the comment section so that you guys can just click over there more quickly so that you don't have to type it in. Okay, so if you click on that link, it takes you to Stevie's Craftsy class. And then I'm going to have you guys send me an email at amelia@cakefu.com. Let me get that pulled up for you really fast so that you guys can. Oops, sorry, I'm terrible at typing and talking at the same time. Okay. So here is the email address that you will email to. If you guys want to pull that up, and I will post that email address in the chat so it's easier. You guys can just copy it. And what you're going to do is email me. You ready? Fastest fingers. We're going to have you tell me what the title of lesson number, we'll let you pick it, Stevie. 1 through 7.
5.
Do you want to pick a number 1 through 7?
5. Did you, sorry, can you?
Are you muted? I can't hear you.
Oh.
You want to hold up fingers? Because I can't. 5? Okay, lesson number 5. Send me an email with lesson number 5 written on it. the title of lesson number 5, and that will qualify you to win. And then you want to give me a number, maybe 1 through 10, of which person sends me that answer. 3?
3, yeah. Can you hear me or no?
3, okay. I don't know why you're muted. I don't understand. Anyway, yeah, so the 3rd person that sends me this email is going to be our winner. So I will wait for those to start rolling in. And because there is a little bit of a delay, it might take just a minute. But I want to stress to you guys, the Craftsy class is pretty amazing. Stevi is, like I was saying, interior designer. She's got such amazing style. I love her style. In fact, when I was doing a consultation a couple of weeks ago with just a cousin of mine that's getting married, she told me that she wanted like a navy blue and gold for her cake. And I was like, oh, I know exactly whose cakes you need to be looking at right now. You need to go look at Stevi's cakes. Because I just, the style is just so fun, so fresh. Okay, so number 3 would be Christine Fox. So Christine is the winner of our free giveaway for Stevi's Craftsy class. Congratulations, and we will get that over to you as soon as we can. Let's see. I want to make sure I star that so that we get that sent out. Okay, and then again, I will pull this back up for you guys. Make sure that you go take advantage of that 25% off. Thank you, Stevi. Oh, they said, which of the 2 Craftsy classes were you referring to? The one that the link takes you to is the Bold and Beautiful Wafer Paper Flowers. That's the one that that you can do. It looks to me, okay guys, I could be wrong, but it looks like it is 50% off. When I clicked on the link over, does anybody else see that? So if we do the 25% off that has already been offered and then the 25% from us, it looks like you will save 50% off, or save 50%. That's what the link says for me. So hopefully that's what it is for you guys. So yeah, that's bonus, major bonus. You get 50% off of Stevi's class today. So definitely take advantage of it. Thank you again, Stevi, for coming. I wish you could say goodbye to everybody. I'll just say goodbye for you. But, all right, thank you so much, everybody, for coming, and enjoy your day, and have a wonderful, wonderful time making your beautiful orchids. Bye, everyone.